5 weeks down, 1 to go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Season 6 of the TSRC PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione is about to come to an end, and we come to where it all began here in South Africa, one of the hidden gems in the motorsport world. The Kyalami circuit is one to definitely keep your eye on, especially with the ups, the downs, the twists, the turns, the overtaken opportunities, and the interesting nature of this fascinating championship finale. Of course, in the pros, it's all been wrapped up by Bailey Thompson, but the AMs are all wide open, with plenty of people still in contention for that Season 6 crown. Still myself, Zach Sweeney Kelsey Gill, back alongside me in the commentary booth with Kieran Sharp, pushing the buttons behind the scenes, giving you the broadcast at home. Kelsey, welcome back, and well, I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys have got in store for us here in South Africa.
Yeah, it's finale day. Finale day. It's you know, the day we all love to come and see, especially when there's a championship on offer. And well, Bailey Thompson may have wrapped his end of the business up, but there's still a fight in the AMs to be settled tonight. So that's where we'll be sort of keeping an eye on. But of course, we'll be watching the progression of as many of the drivers as we possibly can as they go through. But Kyalami then 16 corners, 6 to the right, 10 to the left, 4.58 kilometers in length, or 2.85 miles if you want to go for there. Key action areas at turn 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 13, 16. Zach, to state the obvious, this is a racetrack, and a racetrack that deserves far more attention than it gets, and I think it gets criminally little.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, well, of course, with it being the championship finale, these guys going out there giving it their absolute all in order to round the season off on a high. 12 minutes, of course, in qualifying. They get 15 to set their fastest lap times, which means most of the drivers out on circuit, as it stands, are on their first flying lap. How important do you think track position is going to be around here, Kelsey? I mean, we've said that Kyalami definitely is a racing circuit. There are overtaken opportunities around, you know, turns 1 into Lloyd Cobb at the back end of the circuit, into that hairpin. Couple of overtaken opportunities here, but is qualifying going to, you know, set a big precedence and be a big importance going into the race?
I mean, qualifying is always important, no matter what circuit you go to, because it sort of sets you up for the race. But at some tracks, it holds a much higher precedent than other circuits. And this one, I don't think it's going to be one that's going to be too important to qualify well at. Especially with just, I mean, if you take a look at the circuit in areas, it's so wide. That area from all the way down from turn 16 all the way to the second corner, because the first corner is technically the kink, but well, the first corner, if you want to call the corners by what they actually are, not just a bend on a straight, then it's an incredibly wide part of the track, and even in areas of the circuit that invite those overtaking opportunities. And actually, it sort of fluctuates a lot of its width around the circuit as well. I'm just looking at this track map that I've got up on one of my screens here, and it's, you know, it widens out and then it thins down in towards turn 2, then it widens out again, then it gets thinner, then it gets wider into 5, then it gets thin all the way through Sunset, through Clubhouse, the S's, and then up to 9, and then there's 10, which is Lee Cop, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it thins down again a little bit, but it gets that, well, I guess marginally wider, but not too much, and then all the way up through to Mineshaft, and then Crocodiles, it opens back up, thins down again through 14 and 15, and it gets really wide into 16 and down the main straight toward the line. So there's definitely going to be a lot of places to go for some action, and the racing that I have seen here, there's always been a lot of on-track action, which is always a thrill to get your teeth stuck into.
Yeah, I have to say, Kyalami is one of the first circuits I actually drove when I logged onto ACC for the first time. Blimey, how long ago did ACC get released on console? Must have been 3 years ago now, something like that. Kyalami, I was a part of the FTRL ACC Championship. Probably something no one has heard of, because it's, you know, one of those little amateur community-based leagues on the PS4 and stuff. I'm a 2-time champion of that. I'm very proud of it. Kyalami was one of the first ever competitive races I did on ACC. I have to say, it was a lot of fun. I mean, such a fun circuit to drive in of itself. I mean, so many ups, downs, heavy braking zones, the way the corners flow together. You can hook up a really nice lap around here, and then of course going into of course that penultimate corner with the massive sausage curb on it. Not only does it flow nicely, it also does come with its challenges, its quirks, its, you know, its characteristics, the foundations that build why we do and don't love a circuit. So yeah, by all means, I mean, I love Kyalami. I think it is a brilliant circuit. I think there should definitely be more focus on it in sim racing, maybe not necessarily just in GT3s, because I don't think I've seen Kyalami outside of ACC. I don't even know if it's on iRacing. So yeah, I think definitely there should be more recognition for this amazing circuit out there in the world. And yeah, bring it on. I mean, there's been talks of it being on the Formula One World Championship calendar. If it was able to be, renovated to an FIA Grade 1 circuit, maybe that will be the case in the future. Could we imagine some single-seaters running around here at Kyalami? I probably could, to be fair. I wouldn't be impartial to it, I'll put it that way. Approaching the halfway mark of this qualifying session, and as it stands, Yuval Sharon, who's had a very good run of qualifying performances, it must be said, up there in the provisional pole position, nearly 2 tenths quicker than Bailey Thompson. I have to say, that is a very impressive lap time to kick out the gates.
Yeah, only driver into the 1:40s at the moment, so there's still plenty of time to go, but a good run from Yuval Sharon in his 31 Ferrari. Here's the Ohar. What can he do in the Lamborghini? Is he starting a lap or is he finishing one? Let's see. He crosses the line. He goes up to P8, so not a bad attempt there. But to go back to the Kyalami of Formula One for a moment, I'm a big advocate for it, in all honesty. You can't call it a world championship and not visit South Africa, I don't think. Or at least somewhere in Africa with a decent enough racetrack, and this will be your contender right here. I think it's not far off of being an FIA Grade 1 circuit, actually. I think it just needs a few more, a few barriers in the right places, and maybe some more gravel traps and such, but it's not far off, I think. At least from all of the information that I've managed to muster up on the Kyalami circuit when I've been sort of looking into it, perhaps. I mean, not that my influence has any sway on what Formula One do or don't do. I think all their eggs are in the American basket.
Kelsey Gill said this. Who?
Yeah. Just tell him, honestly.
Who's Kelsey Gill? I don't know. He must know what he's talking about, right? That's how it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Also, for the eagle-eyed viewers out there at home, you can see in the top right hand of the screen, you'll be looking at the track conditions. You can see it's got the timers, the session timers. You've got track condition. You've got temperature. You've got wind. If you look on the furthest left, the track condition, you can see a little bit of a cloud, and there's some drizzles underneath it. Do you know what that indicates? That indicates rain. The wet stuff that we can't get enough of here in the UK. That is going to spice things up. I mean, we've only got 6 minutes left. Is there going to be enough time for rain to impact this qualifying session? I don't think these guys really want to take that chance.
No, I'm not too sure, in all honesty. It's it looks fine for the time being, but if it does, then it makes the laps right now as important as possible. But Zach there being weatherman and commentator at the same time, so glad you cleared that one up for us there, Zach.
Dominicali knows my name.
Oh dear, he'll know mine eventually. I'll make sure of that one.
I'm a man of many talents, jack of all trades. Speaking of jacks, he's not here today, and to be fair, this is probably the one race that he can do, okay? Because it's going to be raining. There's going to be no sun. He's not going to get burned. He's going to be fine. Like, I think he's seen South Africa and thought, nah, you know what? That seems a bit too sunny of a country for me. He didn't decide to turn up, which is very disappointing. I have to say, Jack Southfield, where are you, mate? Hopefully we'll see him back for season 7. That's weird to say. We're already 6 seasons through, and you've been with me since halfway through season 3. So yeah. You've been here for half season 3, season 4, season 5, and now season 6. 3.5 seasons. That's a fair few amount, and I have to say that is a little bit grim. Like, this series always flies by. I know it's sort of like a 6-week dash, then we're gone for a month and a half or so, then another 6-week dash. But these championships go thick and fast, and I really do like that concept, that idea that you have to be full throttle from day one, otherwise you're not going to succeed.
It's quality over quantity, isn't it? It breeds sort of the very best from the drivers, because they're always coming, always on it, I suppose, and they're not afraid to try new things either. I mean, how many drivers have we seen, other than maybe Maurice Stryker out in his Honda at the moment, although I think he tried a different car a couple seasons ago. But you know, the drivers try different cars, do different things, and that always keeps it fresh. There's always some fresh liveries out there as well, and the racing's always fun as well. I think we've always had, you know, at least somebody different, other than of course Dominic Aligna, who's a 2-time champion, and he won't be much longer because I mean Bailey Thompson's already got.
Is he a 2-time
It, is he? Is it? Or is it Smoggy?
Smoggy's.
Smoggy. There you go, Smoggy, who's not
and this
here.
is why Stefano Domenicali does not know his name. The way it is.
Dear.
We had Samuel Brignara, who DNF'd here at Kyalami actually all the way back in season 1, was leading most of the race and then DNF'd right at the end. I think it was it Jamie Nuttall that won that race. Then season 2 was Smoggy, season 3 was Smoggy, season 4 was Nuttall, season 5 was Aligna, and season 6 is now Bailey Thompson. So we've had 6 seasons and 5 different winners. Not bad. Not a bad track record if you ask me. Shows some good levels of competition.
Yeah, mixing up my Germans. Evening, Phil across the pond. By the way, we can see you. I want to say any apologies for any loud bangs on my end. It's for those not in the UK. It's approaching Guy Fawkes night or bonfire night, if you want to call it that. That is the 5th, yeah.
I didn't know if it was the 25th or the 5th. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, there you go. The 5th, where Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament. We won't talk too much about that on this virtual racing, as Blanchette takes a little trip off the circuit. Just making sure he knows where the grey stuff is, but if that is being picked up, any apologies for that. They are letting off fireworks like there's no tomorrow.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any, probably because it's just been raining and it's probably not too safe for fireworks to be set off. Even in Norfolk, we have some sense of safety regulation, probably because people are a lot more intelligent than Norfolkans have told us what to do. It's like that film, I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, the one where the people travel forwards in time and everyone's just gotten really stupid. What is that film called? I vividly remember it in my head, but I can never find the name of it. Basically, that world, that depiction of the future is Norfolk. So if anyone ever says, "Oh, what's Norfolk like?" just make them, you know, think of a tenth of everyone else's IQ and 10 times more fingers, essentially. Out one circuit, as it stands, Bailey Thompson in 5th place, 4/10 off the provisional pole time set by Alexi Degani, who is sat in 2nd, by the way, in that Pro Championship. But Bailey Thompson is 25 points ahead, I should say, of Alexi Degani. You get 30 points for a win, so those saying, oh, it should be possible then, as long as he scores less than 5 points, not necessarily. Bailey Thompson's drop week is 9th, so at worst, today is a 9th place, because if he finishes 10th, he gets his points for 9th place back, essentially. So that means that he will get himself 12 points. If Alexi Degani won this race, he'd get 30, which is only an 18-point difference, which still isn't enough to win the championship. So Bailey Thompson has effectively won the championship. We'll celebrate it when he crosses the line and this, that, and the other, because, you know, that's just the formality and what we have to do. But it's where we go into the AMs that things get a little bit spicy. We've got Philippe on 95, Leporati on 86, Thomas Rovig on 85, Gardner 83, Raya 79. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars separated by 7 points, and then the fight for the lead only 9, which is mightily impressive. And it's going to come down to these 40 minutes of racing into the final stages of qualifying. You can see the gap for pole only 17 thousandths of a second, but should be good, right?
Yeah, it should be, and it looks like Bailey Thompson's decided to call it a day for qualifying at the very least. He hasn't set another lap, and into the pits he goes. So if P4 is going to be the best he can get, how about Kyala in the number 71 machine up to P19? Not a bad run for the AM driver in the Ferrari. Let's see who else is around. Thomas Rovig's leading the way for the AMs right now, and he's fairly comfortable in that position. How about Ohar? Can he improve his time? I don't think so, or at least he may have just started a lap, perhaps, as the top clock has now ticked down to 0.
Has done indeed into the final stages. Of course, for those unfamiliar with ACC, you are allowed to finish your lap time when that time ticks 0. You can finish your lap as long as you cross the line, basically with 1 second or more left to go. Welcome into Handsome Stew to the TSRC YouTube chat. Welcome into Phil Across the Pond and the JP Broadcasting YouTube chat. Of course, we are broadcasting on both, so make sure you are, you know, showing some love to both YouTube channels. Like, subscribe, blah, 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 all the formalities. Show your face in YouTube chat as well. We do not bite. We'd love to see some interaction. We'd love to know your thoughts, your feelings, queries, questions, whatever tickles your fancy over the course of the race. Or if your last name is Pike, then, you know, poke some fun. Do whatever you like. I really don't mind. Look at that, though. Windscreen wipers on and some drizzles on the screen. Could this get carried forward into the race?
Possibly, yeah. It looks like the rain has finally come. That's going to put a dampener, pun intended, on anybody's laps while they're out there now, and that will affect them. I don't think anybody's going to be improving all too much as the session ticks down. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be it, honestly. Maybe a little snapshot into what to expect for the race ahead.
Potentially so. Of course, as you can see, it's not it's not that hard. I mean, obviously the rain's coming down, but it's quite light. It's not enough really to warrant any wet weather tyres. We'll get to that in just a second. Alexei Degani takes the final pole position of the season, and a Yuval Sharon who will join him on row 1. Francesco Cesali keeps up a good record in qualifying and is joined by championship leader and future championship winner of Bailey Thompson. Then we've got Yotam Sharonin running off the top 5. Marie Stryker joins him on row 3. Graham Kerr and Mertage 7th and 8th. Then comes the Norwegian of Thomas Rorvik taking the final AM pole of the season ahead of Bruno Zanchi. De Oren Leparati round off row 6 with Philippe, the AM championship leader, in 13th. Then comes Milav Gardner, Luca Raya 14th and 15th. James Wright just behind rounding off row 8 ahead of Ryan Blanchett. Giuseppe Zampieri, Chiala in 19th. Then we've got Jim McGowan, Paolo Sisco, Giardi, Chumley, Aligna, both continuing their run of starting towards the back, and they share row 12. Then comes Miller and Gameo, of course, at the back end of the field, 25th and 26th place, respectively. Kelsey, I am very much looking forward to this race. Is it raining? It is. Oh no, it's not. It's just changed. It's gone from greasy to fast again, so I think we are in the clear in terms of the race. There you can see what a damp track does look like. So whether that is the racing conditions or not, we'll find out, I suppose, in about a minute and a bit's time. So let's have a look. But what is your strategy going into this race? Because, you know, you basically, as a driver, you've got the minute and a half to see what the conditions are like and to make a decision. And that's whether you start on wets or whether you start on dries. And you're only going to know which one's the better option when you start driving.
I was just trying to figure out, at least to answer your question, what the numbers meant above the rain, little symbol, because from what I can read, it looked like the rain was. So that was when the rain is coming. So the final 10 minutes of the race. Yeah. So that in mind, you've got to think of the rain is coming, right? You know the rain is coming, and you've got to prepare for that. But what? 75% of the session is going to be dominated by dry conditions, so you've got to try and I think you've got a couple options really. You either go ahead as if it were going to be dry the whole race, you do a pit stop at the normal time and then deal with the rain when it comes, and if you're far enough ahead I think you can get away with that. Or you take a risk, you go long, wait for the rain to come, and then try and pit and hope that, you know, in all that carnage, you can still sort of muster out some sort of good position without shipping too much time by taking too long to go in. But remember, it's going to be outside the pit window, possibly, when the rain does turn up. So that could throw a spanner in the works as well.
That was a big no, basically. We spend all that time loving the rain. And it's beautiful. Sunshine, maybe not rainbows, but, well, unfortunately, there you go. Of course, you can see in the top right, that's minutes into the session, not necessarily minutes left to go. So we've got 10 minutes into the session, it will still be dry. 30 minutes into the session, it will still be dry. So at best, we've got 10 minutes of rain. And that's even if it comes, which it probably won't. Unfortunately, we have some short-lived drizzles in qualifying, but it's clear, sunshine, and maybe not straightforward for this race because, well, obviously it's a racetrack, you're doing turns, so you're obviously not going straight forward. But in terms of the metaphorical sense, for a lot of these guys, there's a lot riding on this race, whether it is for fun, for glory, for pride, just to round off the championship with a win, or for those in the AMs, whether it is fighting for that championship positions. There is a lot riding on this last race.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think one thing I've seen a lot in the sim racing of late is, you know, when we get to the end of the season, the quid number seems to drop. And it is a huge shame sometimes. Sunday with the Formula 3s over at IF, or IF, I can't remember that, IF, U or something. What was it? I can't. I should remember the league. I've been there for long enough. Now.
IFL.
IFL. There you go. I Formula League. But
Wow.
I know I'm terrible.
No.
James is gonna beat me up or something.
Oh yeah.
But
where's Darragh Thacker when I need it? I'm gonna send him a message actually.
wow. Wow, you have him with one session and you're already looking to replace him.
Because I've commentated him with him before. You know, I actually. I don't even know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need him back. Let's have a community vote. Who do we want back for season 7? And if you guys vote for Kelsey and Darragh, we're not friends anymore.
That's a cue to vote for me and Dara, by the way.
Maybe we do need a community vote. Who do we want on comms?
But no, it's always sad. You know, we had a grid of, I think it was 11. And yeah, it ended up being 10 because somebody left the session after the first lap. But it's always a shame to see a few drivers drop off because, you know, as much as it's about the competition and wanting to try and win, and you know, I understand that, you know, if you have a bad season, you're just not feeling it and you don't want to drive anymore. But it's all for fun. That's why we're all into this hobby, isn't it? It's the fun of things. And you know, I went from playing racing games a lot during lockdown, being one of the quickest drivers in a league, and now I'm sort of toward the back because I don't play much. But it's all for fun, whether I'm at the back, whether I'm at the front, whether I'm losing, whether I'm winning. So that should be the main thing.
That should well be. Handsome Stu, me and Zach on comms. I'll have that. Bring it on, Stuart Pike. Only if Andrew's racing though, because I'd love to see you absolutely brilliant, your brother. And also, we can't do it on any dedicated professional YouTube channel because I want you to let loose. Anyway, it's myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill alongside me in the commentary with Kieran Sharp on the cameras. 40 minutes of racing here in South Africa. Alexi Degani, Yuval Sharon share the front row with Bailey Thompson and Yotam Sharon 3 and 4. Season 6, we've battled our way around the globe, starting all the way back for the pre-season race at Catalonia. We end it off here in Kyalami. We wait for the Mercedes to put his foot to the floor. He's teasing, he's waiting, blipping the throttle, awaiting that green flag, and we are underway here in Kyalami. A good start from the front row for Alexi Degani. Let's see what his run is going to be like by the time they reach turn number 1. You can see a big bundle of cars in the background. Bruno Zanchi trying to pick his way through the carnage. Inside line for Degani. A big send from Bailey Thompson to the inside of turn number 1, trying to pick his way up into third. Not quite able to, but Yuval Sharon gives him the space. Up over the crest through turn 2 into 3. The inside line for the McLaren avoids the sausage curb on the inside and takes second place. What a start from the championship leader.
Yeah, that was some smart racecraft from Bailey Thompson. You saw him position the car on the outside. He was waiting to see what was going to happen. Then he dove onto the inside once the car ahead of him went back onto the racing line. And that's when he got the position done. Drew alongside on the exit and then stuck his foot in through the third corner of this track and got himself up into P2. A decent start from Bailey. He'll be chasing after Degani. He's already up from 4th to 2nd. So what a great little move that was. There's James Wright sling his way through. He's got Samuel Chumley as well, who's just got ahead of him by the looks of things. So he is going to have to try and gain that position back. And Samuel Chumley has been starting at the back of the grid and fighting his way through, along with Dominic and Ligner in the Audi as well. These two have been putting on quite the show from the back.
I was going to say, he started, what, 25th? They showed the 12th row, so he's 24th. He's 13th. I want to know what Weetabix this man has and where he gets it from, and if I can have some. What alley do you go to get your Weetabix, Dominic Ligner? Do let me know. But he is driving like there is no tomorrow, and of course the reigning champion, him into season 6, is just having a little bit of fun, starting at the back, doing his thing. And, well, right now, he's picking his way through. There's another one ticked off the list there to the inside of Manuel Leporati. Takes 12th place away in that Audi R8. We round off lap number 1, still 38 minutes left to go. And you can see the majority of the top 4 very close together. We've got Degani from Thompson, Sharon and Stryker, 4th place. Then Mertage picking his way into 5th. A decent start, it must be said, for Buren. He's up there, as I say, fighting in the top 5 and not a million miles away in this train for the lead. Degani, though, he's going to be feeling the pressure. Yeah,
and if you take a closer look at Dominic Ligner's position at the moment, he's actually situated in amongst the top 3 of the AMS, who are the top 3 of the AMS Championship. You've got Rovik leading the 3 of them. Then there's Philippe, and then Leporati, who's actually just dropped a place to Mav Gardner in the 805 Porsche. So there's a bit of it. There's all of the championship contenders in the AMS, all within spitting distance of each other, if you want to put it like that, and they're all fighting away. And it's, well, advantage Rawvik, I believe, in the championship. No, Philippe, sorry, on 95, but he's currently leading Philippe. But it's going to be quite... Philippe will need to drop a few places. This McGowan has had a bit of a spin.
Yeah, one of the nicest liveries on the grid, or at least nicest colour scheme. But unfortunately, not the nicest of driving through the first sector as you run your way through the S's. Such a fun sequence of corners to get right, because obviously where it troughs on the apex, similar to Paddock Hill Bend, as soon as you reach that trough, you just get so much grip in the car. As there's Samuel Chumley trying to find his way past Mamo Leparati, no way through for the 720S as it stands. But you just gain so much grip. You think you don't have it, then you hit it, and then the car just bites. And then it's so unexpected, and you just have to trust lap after lap that you go into that corner with no grip, just to make sure you hit that point. And when you get it right, trust me, you know and you feel on top of the world. Samuel Chumley and Dominic Ligner both working their way towards the top, as there you can see Yotam Sharon fighting away behind with Bora Mertage and Bruno Zanchi just in behind, sandwiched between the two now. The Porsche of Zanchi is able to stay ahead of the Swissman of Mertage, but no way through as it stands. Then you've obviously got Graham Kerr as well, fighting in 8th place, trying to mount a little bit of a challenge. We've got a long train of cars. They flick their way through the right-hander. This is going to be very, very tough to follow because it's such a fast right-hand corner. Then it leads you into a left before the S's. Following around Kyalami, it can be quite difficult because a lot of undulation, a lot of blind corners. You just have to trust that the car in front is taking the right line.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a flowing track as well, so you know, a lot of the sections, corners flow into each other, and I think some of the appeal, especially as far as racing goes, is, you know, that flow can be interrupted by a lot of heavy braking areas around the track. There's Mav Gardner around in that tic-tac looking livery on a Porsche, which does look very lovely with the little streaks of green. Other mints are indeed available, if polos are your option perhaps, or mint Imperials. Mentos.
Hang on, is it Mentos or Mentos?
You heard it here, folks. Zach likes Mentos.
Do people say Mentos? Do they actually? No. Nah. I'm not having that. That is absolutely... I saw a video of the Australian YouTube driver, Darren Levy, and people say Mentos. And I couldn't believe it. Absolutely couldn't believe it. What else is there? There's, what's another controversial thing that people... like bit of food. I mean, there's Oreo. Do you say Oreo or Oreo? So many things, and it's honestly, we need to have like a TSRC podcast or something, because they seem to be quite big right now. If Mentos, what do women do? Women feet, I guess. I don't know. Maybe there's their new brand of toothpaste. They've got Mentos mints, and then women feet. I don't know. That's whatever. Don't sign me up for marketing. I'll stick to commentary. To be fair, probably won't even last this long. Anyway. Yeah, the TSRC podcast coming soon. Maybe in the interim of the two championships, whatever, we can just come on here and chat whatever we want to when we can't talk about it on air, because we don't really have time to indulge in each and every single very wonderful query. Other pronunciation. There's also that. Pronunciation. There's no two ways about this, though. Graham Kerr finds his way into the gravel.
Yeah, he does. Little spin as he's come through. Not the best moment from Graham Kerr. We'll have a look at that again. I think just gives it, a bit too much on the curb, and then unsettles the car. Round he goes. Not the best look. The little bit of lapse of concentration. That curb looks lethal from what I could see. The race is very, very high, and you could see the floor of the car just whacking that curb as he went through. Graham Kerr now down in amongst the Italian mafia. Look how many of those cars are all with that red, white, and green on there.
Flying out there, of course, the Nordest Racing Team. I think that translates to Northeast Racing Team. Maybe they're from the northeast of Italy. Hang on, I'm not entirely sure. Graham Kerr fighting away. There you can see Yuval Sharon making a move for second on the championship leader. That would be astonishing. There's also, of course, the other Italian livery Ferrari just in the background. The 720S forced to defend. This is allowing Degani to break away in the opening 10 minutes of this race. And I know, I meant other pronunciation of Mentos for my joke, but then I also sort of segued that into another pronunciation for pronunciation. But yeah, no, I know. You know, there's that. Oh, Mentos, I'm with you. No, what women? I don't know. What do women do? Maybe they catch. Mentos, women catch. There you go. Yeah, I honestly, I don't even know what we do here. To be fair, the TSRC. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, Stuart Pike, whatever, mate. Yes, awesome. Well, cheers. Awesome. Anyway, Samuel Chumley with an awesome move to the inside here at the left-hander before you run your way into the SS. Samuel Chumley nicely working his way forward. Not to the same speed of a Ligner, but definitely impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure. And again, they've been doing this all season, the pair of them. They've been starting at the back, getting themselves just absolutely enthralled with the racing at the back and just working their way up the grid. And they've put some impressive drives in, I must say. The pair of them just cutting their way through the field as they do. And it seems they're just doing the exact same thing again, that they're both, well, at least the Ligners are in touching distance of the top 10. What's going on here? Thomas Rovig, he's on the back of the Ohar. And he's got Philippe chasing with a Ligner behind Chumley. Leparati's fallen back a little bit. I'd say a little bit, quite a bit from that fight. So it might be his chances at the championship over, but there's still a fight between Rovig and Philippe to be settled. So we'll see on that. We're not far from the pit window as well. So their drivers will soon start thinking about that aspect. But Rovig going defensive into the middle of the track. He goes in the Ferrari patch, trying to have a look at the Ohar, but round the outside now goes Philippe in towards turn number 2. Now 3, are they still side by side? Blinkers on from Philippe, letting everybody know he's going left. That's a good thing from him. That'll please the driver instructors, but keeping behind Philippe is Rovig.
But now, of course, the AM Championship, it runs off with the pro. They don't have 2 separate scoring systems. They don't have pros and they don't have AMs. A win overall is 30 points. And if you are an AM and you win overall, you get 30 points. But if you're an AM and you finish 9th, you get the 12 points that you get for finishing 9th. So it is all one continuous thing, which makes life a little bit difficult for the AMs because, of course, one of the big benefits of winning a race is the biggest difference between points in terms of positions for points. I mean, once you get past, into the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th range, there's only 1 point between each position. If you have a win and, the driver in second, obviously finishes second, there's a 6-point differential in that. That is a huge reward for winning a race. But then you get to, 4th, 6th, 5th, 6th, and it's only 1 point between each position. For the AMs, that makes things so much more difficult because the chances of an AM winning overall and getting that big benefit for winning is so much, slimmer. They have to fight so much harder for bigger points differences.
Yeah, certainly, but there's always that chance, isn't there? I mean, they're pretty nicely situated right now, the pair of them. If there was an awful calamitous crash toward the front, then they would benefit hugely. But that's a big if, isn't it? You can't just bank on, if the guys ahead of you are going to crash or somebody's going to mess up the strategy or something. You've got to try and do your talking on the track for the most part, because that's where the results lie. Is when you're overtaking cars, when you're fighting hard to keep places and doing it all out there on the circuit rather than chancing it on things that could happen. Here comes Mav Gardner down the inside of this Nord-Est racing team into the inside, gets it done, but there's a switchback from the BMW who tries it, doesn't quite get it done.
Not quite. As moving out of the way is the Nord-Est racing team Ferrari for. Yeah, well, that is one way of doing it. Fair play for doing it nonetheless. And, well, moving out of the way for his Italian comrades who all picked their way through. As we say, pit window now open. 28 minutes left to go. 18 minutes of it left. You get the middle 20 minutes of the race to serve your mandatory pit stop, whereby you have to fuel up a fixed time of 25 seconds to fuel up. You can take tyres in that time if you wish. But sometimes we see drivers take it, sometimes we see them not, to try and cut down on their pit stop time. There's been a difference in strategy sometimes, but all in all, it has just been a case of circumstance when it comes to the strategy. Not necessarily the pit stop decision itself, whether it's, take tyres or not take tyres. It's more the things around it. The braking for the pit entry, stopping in your box, when you pit relative to everyone else. Those are the things that will make the difference in the race.
Yeah, for sure. And to touch on braking at the pit entry, this track especially, it's quite a hard braking zone. So if you go that little bit too fast over the pit line, you may see yourself with a stop-go penalty, stop-go 30 for that particular infringement. So you've got to be careful going in there. Here comes Dominic Ligner going side by side now with Philippe, the leader of the AM Championship and actually the leader of the AM race at the moment. It seems he's found his way past Rovig while fighting with a Ligner, and that's that's going to be something to keep an eye on. But the two of them back together as Aligna now enters the top 10. He'll be chasing after Doha now in the Lamborghini. Neil Thompson has asked, has Bailey won the championship? If not, where does he need to finish to win it? I believe we covered this just a moment ago, but we'll reiterate that, you know, Bailey needs to really, I don't think he needs to do much else other than perhaps finish lower, but even then he's got a P9, which is 12 points to his name. So unless something calamitous happens or there's an act of God, I don't think Bailey is going to lose this championship this race.
Yeah, effectively, as I say, there's 30 points on offer for a win. The gap at the top is 25, which you might be thinking, as I say, you know, oh, that's enough. You know, that's an attainable gap. As long as Bailey Thompson doesn't score, you know, 5 points, then, you know, we could have a different championship winner. We could, of course, have Alexi Degani win. That's not quite the case. Because of the way drop scores work, Thompson's drop score is in 9th place, which is good enough for 12 points. At worst, if he finishes 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, that doesn't matter, because if he does finish those places, he takes his drop round and therefore regains that 9th place, which means that the lowest that Thompson can finish this race, if you stay with me, is 9th place, because no matter where else he finishes, the worst case is going to be in 9th place, therefore he gets 12 points. If Degani goes out and wins, as he is right now, he'll then get the 30 points. 30 take away 12 is 18, which unfortunately isn't enough to close the gap at the championship. Some leagues do combat this by saying you can't take the final round as your drop round. That would definitely spice things up, as, you know, one mistake from Thompson could well change the tide of the championship. That's not the case. Any round is fair game in terms of taking your final drop round. So basically all Thompson has to do is drive round, parade round, and, well, he doesn't even have to finish the race. Doesn't even have to finish the race. As long as he, you know, starts and he crossed the green flag line, he effectively became champion.
That sounds like a nice little rule to perhaps consider, TSRC admins and those who are in charge of organising the events, because just a little hint of jeopardy into the season finale as well would be something to perhaps spice it up.
Until Kieran sends us the message saying, boys, they can't take their drop round in the final round. that would be our luck, because we know what we're talking about. Yeah, I would be expecting him to. Thankfully, he hasn't yet, so I think we're good. I think we're in the clear. That or he's gone to get a cup of tea or whatever. But I think we are in the clear. I think they are allowed to take their drop round for the final round, because they have done for a number of seasons. So we're all good. Maybe though, as you say, could be time for a change of pace. Maybe we could add some more jeopardy into the championship, because Dominic Ligner ran away with last season. Jamie Nuttall ran away with the seasons before. So Smokey came off the back of 2 consecutive ones, and Bailey Thompson hasn't really been contested for this one too much either. So not to say that the TSRC has boring championship fights or anything like that, because we haven't had those by any stretch of the imagination at all. But, you know, maybe we could, as you say, add a little bit more consequence and a little bit more thoughtfulness and strategy and planning over the course of what is effectively a sprint championship.
Yeah, well, Kieran has piped up in the chat. We haven't missed that, but he says he probably need to do something with SimGrid in order for that to happen, but it is a nice idea. So there you go. So perhaps something, if they can tinker around with SimGrid, then it'll be something cool to have on the cards, perhaps. But yeah, we'll see. Prospective potential for the next few championships. What's Graham Kerr up to? He's trying to make a pass on James Wright. These two members of the pros toward the back end of the grid, but they're getting themselves some racing action. Inside by side they go now, and that's Graham Kerr up ahead of James Wright. It's, well, 2 Italian titans of car manufacturing, with Lamborghini and Ferrari going head to head. Who's going to come out on top so far? It's the Ferrari. Yeah,
of course. Ferruccio Lamborghini. There's a film about that, I think, with the guy who plays. He plays a lot. He's one of the Hydra people in the Avengers. He's someone who plays in the Purge as well. He plays in a lot. He's Nick from something as well. I think he's in Pittsburgh. That guy, he plays Ferruccio Lamborghini in this Lamborghini versus Ferrari film. I haven't watched it, but it seems to be a fantastic film from what I've seen on clips on TikTok, because that is how people watch films nowadays, is just through 70 different small minute clips that they get on TikTok. My point is that they very much are two titanic Italian manufacturers that have been competing for supremacy in terms of the supercar era. Of course, there are now multiple supercar brands and things that are all vying for supremacy. They all have their ups, their downs, their perks, and this, that, and the other to really stake their claim to the supercar world. But in terms of Italian, you think Italy, you think Ferrari, you think Lamborghini. They're the ones that come to mind. Every kid is like, oh, I want a Lamborghini, and oh, I want a red Ferrari. They are the sort of the first staples that come to mind for most people that think supercar. I immediately think of the Lamborghini Huracan, for example, and things like that. Those are the things that immediately come to mind. So they are always such a big presence in the world, and even more so in motorsport. I mean, Ferrari's been around since the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I always wanted a Nissan GTR. That was the car I wanted to get my hands on. Not as sleek and sophisticated as perhaps a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, but certainly a lovely little car to look at. And even the Nissan Skyline as well. I think that was its predecessor. As it went through, I don't know much about cars, but I know a little bit. I know the ones that I like the look of, at least. Anyway, but I think the Lamborghini Ferrari. I think Adam Driver's in that, playing Enzo Ferrari, if I'm not mistaken, or at least that's. I know Adam Driver's meant to be playing Enzo Ferrari in some sort of film, but there's actually some great motorsport films out there. Rush, if you've seen that, depicting the friendship and rivalry of Niki Lauda and James Hunt. That was a fantastic watch. I've seen that a good couple of times. And Ford versus Ferrari would have been the most recent one that I've seen, which was another great one, depicting their rivalry at Le Mans.
See, is that called Ford versus Ferrari, or is that called Le Mans 66?
Both. It has different titles for different eras. As Samuel Chumley's going round the outside of Thomas Rovik, this better not end in tears, as he's still looking to fight for his position in the AM Championship. But you're getting very close to one another, but not making contact either. You could barely fit a piece of paper between them for a few moments of there where he's been rambling on about movies and such. But yes, sometimes movies have different titles depending on which part of the world you are in.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, region-specific stuff is cool. I always like how they, like in the Cars films, they have Sebastian Vettel for the German, they have Fernando Alonso for the Italian. I think they also had, I think Carlos Sainz or something, and also Lewis Hamilton for the Brits. I've always loved how they do region-specific stuff, just to give it its own little twist as such. But yeah, there we go. That's our indulgence. We've still got half the race left to go, by the way. We've got 9 minutes 43 seconds. Yeah, he does the Italian. I think he did the Italian side of things because he was with Ferrari at the time. Maybe he did the Spanish. No, it was Alonso that did the Spanish, and then Sebastian Vettel did the Italian side of things as well, because obviously he was a Ferrari around the time that Cars 3 came out. So that was what it was. Yeah, but I don't know. Stuart Pike, just stop. Just leave me alone. Just stop judging me, all right? Let me make my points in peace. Anyway, a large influx of people heading their way into the pit lane. Degani, Murtaj, Rovik, Leparati, Chiala. Yuval Sharon is released to lead the race. Let's see what he can do in some clear air.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think Michael Andretti was also in Cars in the first one.
And Schumacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Cars are just the lead. I love Cars. To be fair, you know what? Do you know what? I might treat myself for Christmas. Get myself some Cars bed sheets. Because you know what? I used to have some. I still have them. They're at the caravan that we have on the single beds, and whenever I'm there, I obviously I sleep on that bed as well. So I might get myself some ones for home, because I've now upgraded. I've got a double bed now, Kelsey. So I might need to get myself some bigger ones.
Big boy now.
I know, I've grown up. I'm 3, nearly 6.
So I've still got a single bed and I'm 24. Sad times, but into the pit lane comes Yuval Sharon. Most of the grid have decided to come in for the pit window. We're just over halfway through it being open. our leaders come in, so we're just waiting for, well, Yuval Sharon's in, Striker's in, Yotam Sharon's in as well, Ohar in, Eligna's decided to stay out, Philippe's come in, we're just waiting for Samuel Chumley, Graham Kerr, James White, and Giuseppe Zampieri to make their stops as we continue to go through, so late for some drivers, but most opting to go early.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, yeah, just trying to get the undercut of sorts, but not really any pluses or minuses for that regard, unless they're changing tyres, of course, and want those fresh tyres for longer. But even then, I can't really picture, unless they just wanted to get themselves out of traffic. Yuval Sharon, of course, was tucked up with Bailey Thompson for quite some time, fighting away for second. They now leave the pit lane. What is it going to be? Has this overcut worked? Have they been able to pick their way ahead? I mean, as we checked in with Thompson, there he is. The McLaren 720S finds his way past. There's Yuval Sharon. Is this going to be second place for him? I think it might well be. Provisionally, of course, out on circuit. Yotam Sharon is in behind. Nicely done, and a great little bit of strategy there from Yuval Sharon just to consolidate that provisional second place. Fifth place as it stands on the road, but still with Eligna, Chumley and Kerr to come in. There we go.
Yeah, and Yotam Sharon's gained a lot of time from the pit lane as well. The two brothers, of course, out there on the circuit, giving Bailey Thompson a bit of a run for his money. He's the meat in their sandwich, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. But they're still waiting for the three to come in. So, yeah, of course, provisionally Degani and your leader, then Sharon, Thompson, then Sharon in the number 16. And then the Striker making up your top 5.
Fair enough. Nice little top 5, to be fair. I mean, Striker has been on point. I have to say, again, I have to give him respect because his season has been decent as such. I mean, his results, they've been, they've been up there side by side. Samuel Chumley trying to tick off another McLaren, so a bit of civil war going on at the McLaren factory. But in terms of Maurice Striker, I mean, his job score at this point is 13th. The rest of his finishes, apart from round 7, have been not round 7, round 5, because of the way that it works on SimGrid. But apart from that, he has been fairly consistent inside the top 10. I mean, he got 5th place at the second race in Donington. This result today would equal his best result of the season. He's been doing a decent job.
Yeah, he certainly has. Yeah, 8th, 13th, 8th, 8th, 5th, 13th. So you take those two 13s away. I mean, you lose one anyway because of the drop round. Then it's a fairly consistent season. He's currently sat P9 in the championship. He's half a point away from Dominic Eligna, who is on 49 points. So actually, there's a potential for Maurice Striker to get himself up into P7 if all goes well for him, because Quinten van Wingerden's within a point and a half as well on 50 points. And James Wright could see a slice of the pie, but he's a bit further down than he would have probably liked. So, and looking at the leaderboard now, Maurice Striker's actually quite well on track to get himself to P7.
Well, still 14 and a half minutes left to go of this race. Still plenty of time for things to change and overtakes to be made. But Bruno Zanchi, can't fault him. That Porsche, to be fair, must be quite at home here at Kyalami. Of course, the flat 6 engine, basically it's an engine on its side. The pistons are pointing outwards rather than upwards. It's flat, it's low, which is good. Low center of gravity means the car is going to be more responsive and more willing to change directions. Of course, front mounted as well means all the weight is at towards the front end of the car, which means you've got a lot of nimbleness and a lot of agility as well. That Porsche really at home when it comes to tight and twisty circuits. Obviously, the middle and high-speed corners don't hurt at all. That Porsche, you would have to say, is looking fairly quick. And also in terms of manufacturers, you've got an Audi, a McLaren, a Mercedes, a Ferrari, a Honda, a Porsche, and a Lamborghini inside the top 10. 7 different types of cars inside the top 10 is amazing when you start to think about the balance of performance and how any car can work and you can still be competitive no matter what you choose.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of these drivers, I think one thing that goes well for these GT3s is I think there's a car for almost every driving style. It's almost akin to, you can set up the car as best as you want if you're all in a bit more of a regulated degree of racing, like let's say I'll take Formula One, where things are basically the same but a few differences, or perhaps the better comparison would be, you know, the Formula 2 or Formula 3. Well, not everything the same, but you know, the basic premise is the same,
Yeah.
of how the car looks, but how it's designed is different on each level. That's why I sort of corrected myself to say Formula 2 and 3 are the better. Of the point, you know, the manufacturers and the ways that the cars drive and designed in these GT3s are, you know, the Porsche might suit somebody who likes a bit more of a responsive car, whereas, you know, say the Bentley might suit somebody who likes a bit more of a car that's a bit more lumbering around a racetrack, or the Lexus, or something that's great in a straight line. You know, there's many options, and you can then cater your setup as well. There's so many things to think about when picking a car, and that makes the racing all the more interesting, I think.
I definitely would be inclined to agree. I mean, there are pros and cons to both, you know, as there is to everything. You know, you've got the benefits of Formula One, I suppose, is the fact they've been given a foundation to work with. Have their how do they have their branches, and how do they innovate as such, and how do they find the different quirks, and you know, the ways to find that time. But then you've also got Spec Series, where everyone's the same. You know, that's also got its perks in the form that, you know, no one's got an excuse. Essentially, everything's the same. It's all down to how you as a driver and how you as a team, you know, set up the car and tweak it to, you know, make the most minute of differences. As side by side, Graham Kerr tries to go to the outside of Leparati, going into the S, or the fast right-hander that then leads you to the left, that then leads you into the S's. Very high speed, very flowing corners here at Kyalami. But you know, there are pros, as I say, with Spec Series and things, everyone's the same, but you lose out on that innovation. Then you get championships like GT3s and things, where you've got different manufacturers who fundamentally, yeah, their rules are take your road car and spice it up into a race form. Graham Kerr really spicing things up. I will admit, but you know, I have to say, I do like the format of GT3s, you know, with so many different manufacturers coming in, having their stabs. They all look wildly different. They all have their different characteristics as such, and they will all be quicker at different points. So which means that, you know, you as a driver really have to make the most of where your car's strong, and then also limit the damage when your car isn't as such.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's where it's sort of, it adds that little bit of extra depth than let's say Formula One, where, you know, there's one, especially at the moment, there's one clear fastest car and everybody's dragging behind them, whereas, you know, one week you could be in a Mercedes and be at the top, next week you might be in a Ferrari and you're at the top, next week you might be in a Porsche and you're at the top. It ebbs and flows, and you may not, and you know, there might even be times where those three cars are all performing relatively similar at a circuit, and they're all fighting each other quite closely. So there's a lot of room, and you know, as a avid follower of Formula One as I am, you know, it's a development series, and a lot of the innovation comes from there. As Zanchi looks to the outside, of striker runs a little bit too deep, doesn't quite get the move, loses himself a little bit of time in the process as well, and he's caught up to Yotam Sharon in the number 16 car as striker, so he'll be chasing after that to try and get himself into P4. So a nice little fight going on there. We'll keep watching, but you know, there's things where, you know, you can talk as much about innovation as you want, but when somebody makes an innovation that the FIA don't like, most recently Das' striker goes around the outside of Yotam Sharon, is looks to get the move done. I think Zanchi might capitalise on the poor exit of the Ferrari as well. He's going to come all the way down the main straight of the circuit now into the slipstream. He tries to get Striker, and that's the place for Bruno Zanchi, who's going to follow Striker through. That's not what we would have wanted to see. He'd have wanted to try and Bruno Zanchi while he was battling with Sharon behind him, but he's going to have to continue to keep looking in his mirrors as he tries to make progress and forward, maybe towards the podium, as Bailey Thompson isn't so far, and Zanchi going to pull to the inside, doesn't go for a move there, no space to go. But back to my point briefly while there's a bit of time, it's, you know, I think there needs to be some more things in Formula One that should be under some form of control, especially if they're looking to try and make the racing a little bit closer, but without stopping teams from actually innovating and exploring as far as making cars faster, making racing technology better, and stuff like that. Because I think it's a damn shame that things like DAS, end up getting banned, and I think it was Braun with the double diffuser, I think it was in 2009, that got heavily taxed as well as Philippe looks to the inside. But I feel like maybe limiting something like DRS to something that's standardized might be something that helps the sport. But I don't know, it's different categories, different conversations, different specs of car.
Yeah, disciplines. That's the beautiful thing about motorsport is, you watch football, and yeah, there's the World Cup, there's the Euros, there's this, that, and the other, but you always get football. You watch tennis, yeah, of course, there's the US Open and the Australian Open and this, that, and the other, but you always get tennis. The same with pretty much any other sport. Whereas motorsport, you get rallycross, you get rally stages, you get GT3s, you get endurance, you get hypercars, you get F1, you get Formula E, you get, and then you get, electric rallycross, and you get even down to electric scooter racing, club levels, go-karting. You get so many different variations of this as Philippe tries to go to the outside of Leparati for second place in the AMS. Beautifully done nearly by the BMW driver, but well defended from the Porsche. But that's the thing I love about motorsport, is that it's such an umbrella term. It covers so much, and each discipline does branch off its own thing, and you get multi-class racing, and you're never bored really with motorsport, unless you're obviously watching F1 sometimes, because as we do. Even as a Max fan, this season's been a little bit tedious at times. To be fair, we have had a great season, but sometimes it is a little bit sketchy. But yeah, I love the innovation. I love how the technology that we develop in motorsport, or that they develop in motorsport, because I've got absolutely no part in it whatsoever. I cannot include myself in that we. That they produce in motorsport, they apply that to their real-world applications. NASA even use some Formula One technology in their space programs. So many different practical elements that are then used. I mean, Formula E improving their electric EV power unit technology. I mean, when they were in season 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the the first gen car, where they had to swap halfway through the race, to now Gen 3, which can reach speeds of upwards of 200 miles an hour and beyond, and complete a full race distance on one charge. Or that is Philippe nearly losing the car on the rear end, going through Chi to the penultimate corner. That's what we mean about that Sochi cab on the inside. But that's the amazing thing about it, is so much science, and then also with that you get the skill of the driver. And speaking of skills of the driver, Yotam Sharon well had some until 4 minutes to go.
Ran out of talent with 4 minutes or so left to go. Here he goes, onto the grass, on the curb, unsettles the car, round he goes, little smack on the wall for good measure as well. Safely gets back onto the circuit, it seems, doesn't get in anybody's way too much. Chumley gets out of the way there nicely as well, but it was a shame because he was having a good one. Oh, and Zanchi's gone now as well after chasing after Striker all race long, and oh dear, and he's frustrated with that. You can see it. Where's he dropped it? Yeah, there it is.
You could see it from the initial twitch. The first time he went over the curb, you could tell. I mean, the car was still under control, but you could tell what was coming. And then he tries to floor it into the barrier, and now has his good old bonnet open. Philippe now to the outside of the Porsche of Leparati. Look at that for an up and under if he can get his foot down. Not quite able to, but it does tighten on the exit. That inside line is a lot shorter, and he does see himself alongside until he doesn't. And then Leparati takes 13th place back. Keeps 13th place, I should say. And Warren Philippe attacking him, and once again he looks to go to the outside, but still no way through. Well defended, I have to say, from the Porsche. And yeah, that is fair enough. Maybe Darragh Thacker and Kelsey Gill will be the commentary team going forward. Have to say though, I've been here since the start. I did bring both of them in for their chance at the TSRC. I've done my bit. All right, I've done my bit. But it's fine. It's fine. If they want to take the reins, by all means. If you guys think that's best, then by all means, do as you will. Side by side once again, Philippe's to the outside of turn number 1, still with 3 minutes to go, so into the final couple of laps of this race. I have actually commented on Max Verstappen before. I don't think he knows my name, nor would he vote for me in the commentators vote. But you know, I've commented on him, which is something. And Philippe still trying to find his way into 13th.
Yeah, battling hard for Philippe, and it looks like he's got this one done finally. Can he sweep around the outside of the Porsche? In the BMW, he does, closes the door off, gets back on as well. Happy birthday to Paolo Cisco, by the way. Luca Raya is saying in the chat, and I'll extend that from myself, and I'm sure Zach will as well.
All of you shall shoot.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Happy birthday, Paolo Cisco.
Yeah, happy birthday. And you know what? So what you want about Max Verstappen? There's one thing that I can't complain about Max Verstappen, and that is for his staunch defence of any interfering with from Formula One heads, or those of them outside of the racing teams wanting, you know, Lando Norris to go to Red Bull, wanting other bits to go on as well. Because he just wants to race his friends. He doesn't want, you know, Lando to turn up at Red Bull and their relationship to sour, like the very big story of Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. I mean, look at that one, as Cisco and McGowan going racing side by side as they go, still going along. A little bit of contact there, a little bit of a shove from McGowan onto the grass, but still keeping his foot in, still having a go around the outside as they come in to the next portion of the track, through 13, 14 now, and a little bit twitchy from Cisco as McGowan has got through and into that position.
Well, here he goes. Paolo Cisco. I mean, it's not the birthday present you really want to see, do you? On to what will, but I believe this is the penultimate lap of this race. Andrew Pike having a good old discussion about Max Verstappen. Max can drive, don't get me wrong, however, as a human, he's not a good role model. I would disagree. I don't think so. I mean, obviously, he gets a little bit angry, and yeah, he has had some issues, such as the Golden Toast GP on VCO. But, you know, you see clips of, you know, him and, what's her name? Penelope, I think his sort of stepdaughter is... I think if that's what she officially is, you know, he talks with her and he has a laugh, and he is, you know, from what you can see, a lot of it is what you're exposed to, and obviously a lot of British media is exposing, you know, the Max that, you know, people would maybe prefer to dislike, and then obviously you see the flip side of it. It's the same with any media. You absorb what you're exposed to, essentially. But on to what will be the final lap after Alexi Degani crosses the line. Or under pressure from Dominic Aligna, who from 24th place on this grid is now 6th nearly, with the Or trying to hang up to the outside. But Dominic Aligna, if he can get this one signed, sealed and delivered, he's inside the top 6 after starting 24th.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll be enough to stop Striker's progress to 7th, but it's an impressive run nonetheless, and Chumley's with him as well and has been most of the race long. But one final thing on Max Verstappen before we wrap this race up. It's just... I can't. His heart is entirely in racing, and I'm all drivers probably are. But the one thing I do love to see is his absolute passion for the sport and just wanting it to be in its purest form possible, which I find quite commendable. I think I'm using the right word, or quite inspiring, I suppose, regardless of who he is as a person. And that's something to at least look up to him for.
Suppose so. Up and under for De Oren in terms of Dutch athletes as well. They're a little bit... I mean, they had Nick de Vries for a while, but that didn't really work out. Here is Alexi Degani, by the way. He's driven such a fantastic race, and no, it's not championship glory, but it's victory here in Kyalami for the final race of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Season 6, round 6, goes the way of Degani. Yuval Sharon in second. Champion of Season 6, Bailey Thompson across the line. He has dominated this season in fantastic fashion and finishes the final season in third. Side by side across the line, you can see De Oor trying to hang off Samuel Chumley, who's been carving his way through the field alongside Dominic Aligna across the line, and it's going to go the way of the 111 McLaren, who takes 7th place ahead of the Lamborghini. Thomas Rovik, the Norwegian, takes victory in the AMS, but all eyes on Philippe. Yeah, you can see just a few seconds behind in 12th. He's going to come across the line. He is going to be victorious in the AM Championship. What a season for Philippe. He's been dominant as we would expect. That BMW has been mighty. And fair play to both of our championships, of course, of Thompson and Fleet. Both first names start with a B, so maybe there is something to have a pat recognition there. Maybe next season will be C. Who knows? Maybe we'll have the battle of the battle of the initials over the course of the next championships to come. But Kelsey, what a season that we've had, and what a season we hopefully should be able to look forward to.
Yeah, we've had a fantastic season, haven't we? But Bailey Thompson's done an incredible job, and you know, B. Philippe, he has done, you know, he's had a lot of bad luck, but he stuck to it and he won the championship for it. So well done, Philippe.
After 40 minutes of racing action, you can see the final finishing orders of this season. Degani, Sharon and Thompson, the top three, all three of them mighty seasons and mighty ways to cap it all off. Maurice Stryker, his best result of the season by far, in fourth, ahead of the Swissman of Mertage, rounding off the top five. Dominic Ligner, Samuel Chumley on a run of form this season. The reigning champion ahead of the Triple One machine in 6th and 7th, with their fights from the back all season long, with still some decent points taken to their names. De Orr, Graham Kerr and Rovik, the top 10 with 37 machine, taking the AM win. Jotam Sharon in P11 ahead of Philippe, the AM champion, ahead of Manuel Leparati, who rounds off the AM podium. Bruno Zanchi, James Wright, the top 15, with Ryan Blanchet, Giuseppe Zampieri, Jim McGowan, birthday boy Paolo Cisco in P19. Probably would have wanted a little bit more out of today. We run away beyond the top 20, and you can see there Fabio Ghiardi, Patrizio Gumei, Mav Gardner, Giala, Luca Raya, Francesco Cesali after starting in third, only 25th, and then Miller rounding off the 26-car grid here today. Kelsey, just your final thoughts really more than anything, I suppose, before we wrap things up for yet another season. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. These guys have had it tough, but all in all, you know, smiles and happiness all round, I'd say.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, I don't think Thompson's been as completely infallible. He's definitely been the driver out there to beat. He's won most of the races this season, and he's done a great job as well. But I think there's definitely drivers who can take the fight to him. I think if Ligner decides he wants to have another taste of championship glory, he can do that. Samuel Chumley might be up there as well, and there's plenty of the other drivers who looked like they were chomping at the bit to try and chase after Bailey Thompson. So they've done great. We may see some AMs get promoted into the pros, perhaps have a little bit of a go there too. There's been a lot of great racing all around, really, and Kyalami's been a great place to have a finale. And one more thing, there's Handsome Stu's a bit mean there. In the chat,
but only just realised.
I have, yeah, but
wow,
you know,
you are so.
You know, I shouldn't be surprised really, but there we go. But yeah, that's my thoughts. We should be in for a great season 7 when it does come around.
Yeah, who knows who's going to be on the commentary team? Could be me, could be Kelsey, could be Dareth Thacker, could be none of us. It all depends on what these lovely people at the Sim Racing Collective think is best going forward. Nonetheless, it's been a pleasure talking you guys through the last 6 seasons of racing. Kelsey's been alongside me for the last 3.5. We hope to continue. We hope to see you back in the near future when Season 7 of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series continues for another voyage around the world. It's been a battle of the ages. Bailey Thompson and Philippe taking the respective Pro and AM champions. Yeah, I mean, we started all the way back in Catalonia for the classification race. We fought our way around the globe. I mean, we've been to Spa, Nürburgring, Imola, Donington Park, Watkins Glen, and here at Kyalami today. It has been a battle of the titans, really, battle of nostalgia as we battle our way around, you know, tracks that we've always visited in the Sim Racing Collective, that we have visited before, and it was essentially just the battle of champions, I suppose. We had Dominic Ligner out on circuit. We had, of course, then with our reigning champion Bailey Thompson, we had so many big names out on circuit. Season 6 was one to remember, and I think hopefully a great precedence for what's to come in the future. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to say goodbye at some point. That time is now. Keep an eye out for any news. If you want to get yourself involved, if you particular fancy maybe at some GT3 racing, get yourself involved on the Sim Racing Collective. Go to SimGrid, look it up, find a way to get yourself out on circuit. We look forward to seeing you out on track sometimes as well. But for myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill alongside me, and Kieran Sharp in the production booth, it's goodbye for now.